KCNC TV, Colorado's news channel. This is NewsCenter 4 Late Edition with Bob Palmer, Linda Farrow, Larry Green, and Ron Zappolo.
Good evening. Welcome to NewsCenter 4. Here's what's happening tonight. Striking King Soopers employees are holding a candlelight vigil right now at a store in West Denver. Coming on day 6 of the strike, it has been a massive display of solidarity. We'll go live now to Alameda and Zuni, where Wendy Bergen has a live report. Wendy?
Bob, this is the first time striking union members have gotten together en masse since the strike began. Mayor Pena was here a short time ago and lit a candle to show his support. Union members say their sentiment hasn't changed one bit. They say they plan to hold out to preserve what they have. Now, earlier this evening, thousands gathered at the Denver Coliseum. Several other unions like the AFL-CIO and steelworkers joined with them and said they too will walk the picket lines beginning tomorrow. Many said this is the largest union rally Denver has ever seen. Now, King Soopers management issued a statement this evening saying the business was only off 6% yesterday, a statement union members dispute. King Soopers also says that it will honor triple coupons tomorrow only in appreciation of their customer support. Right now, negotiations are set to begin again with a federal mediator Friday morning. Reporting live from King Soopers at Alameda and Zuni, Wendy Bergen, NewsCenter 4. Bob?
Thank you, Wendy.
You're welcome.
Linda?
The investigation into a gruesome murder in Edgewater has now resulted in the naming of a suspect. The case began last Sunday when Maxine Clifford and her young son returned home from a trip. In a cardboard box on the kitchen floor, they found the body dismembered of an unidentified woman. The suspect is Maxine Clifford's husband, Greg, who has not been seen since the body was found. A warrant's been issued for his arrest. A Colorado bail jumper is suspected of living out a fantasy that he's a character in a Louis L'Amour novel by murdering 2 women. 27-year-old Darren O'Neill is wanted in Colorado Springs for jumping bail last year on a sexual assault charge. And now Washington state authorities suspect him in the disappearances of 2 women. They have not been found, but blood-stained clothing has been. Washington police have been to Colorado to draw up a psychological profile of O'Neill, who is an avid fan of the Western novelist. O'Neill has not been seen in 4 weeks.
A Denver police sergeant is being investigated for alleged misconduct after spending the weekend with a female fugitive rather than taking her to jail. Teresa Boone, the fugitive, was wanted in Georgia for bad checks. The warrant issued had no bond, and Grass felt that that was extreme. So instead of booking her and putting her child in a foster home, he guarded her all weekend until the court opened on Monday morning.
If she had been a big male linebacker, do you think you would have made the same choice?
Probably not. Well, I'm sure not. The consideration in my mind was a small child, a seemingly indigent woman, and it bothered me, and then I became personally involved in the sense that I felt she was getting a raw end of the deal through the legal system.
I believe that what he did was right. I think it's a terrible injustice that because he did something that he felt was right, that he's being, punished for it.
Grass is the subject of a police internal investigation, and until that's completed, he's been given a desk job.
A witness to the subway shooting of 4 youths by Bernard Goetz says one of the youths was sitting back with his hands on the bench when Goetz shot him. At Goetz's New York trial today, the witness, who was the subway passenger on the other end of the train from Goetz, said Goetz shot the youth who was sitting on the bench along with 3 others who were standing. Goetz claims the 4 were trying to rob him and surrounded him when he shot them. The war crimes trial of Klaus Barbie will continue without Barbie. The alleged butcher of Lyon walked out of a French courtroom today and said he would not be back. Barbie claims he was kidnapped from South America to stand trial for arresting, torturing, and deporting Jews and French resistance fighters in Lyon during World War II. He'll spend the rest of his trial in his cell.
South Africa's government has warned American companies to stop defying apartheid by housing black workers in white neighborhoods. South Africa's race laws require blacks to have special permits if they're to live in white areas. However, the government's statement today led to a challenge from the Anglican Church. Its leaders dared authorities to try to evict the church's leader from his church-owned home in a white neighborhood. The Anglican leader, of course, is Archbishop Desmond Tutu.
Just ahead on our news tonight, is Denver becoming more attractive to tornadoes or what?
A solemn service in Metro Denver for the victims of an airline disaster in Poland.
The calendar says it's spring, but the weather patterns look a lot more like the monsoon season.
And a funny thing happened tonight at Boston Garden. The home team got beat.
Yesterday's tornado might have led you to wonder if the Denver area is seeing more twisters than it used to. But in Tornado Trackdown, environmental specialist Steve Anderson says the seeming increase may be due to factors other than a change in weather patterns.
A tornado is probably the most violent natural force known. Their occurrence is somewhat rare here, but many feel there have been more recently than in years past. This decade has seen its share. The Surrey Ridge tornado 2 years ago and the June 3rd, 1981 Thornton tornado are perhaps the most memorable. But have there actually been more tornadoes in recent years?
Perhaps there seems to be a perceived increase, but I'm not really sure there is.
Maury Pouts is head of the local Weather Service office. His studies have shown a marked increase in the number of tornadoes reported over the years. But the increase seems to coincide with the growth in population over the same period. The implication, more people to see the tornadoes, not more tornadoes. Indeed, a great many of the sightings seem to match up with population patterns. A great many have been reported along the state's heavily traveled interstates and around the urban areas from Greeley to Colorado Springs, exactly the area that has seen the most population growth.
5 years ago, none of these houses were even here. This is the current eastern edge of the city of Aurora. It was all prairie land, something like this. And this land, too, will likely be developed within another 5 to 10 years.
The city of Aurora has recently installed an outdoor warning system to warn of impending dangers like a tornado. It's been placed in a grid pattern that covers most of the city. Now, when a tornado is sighted,
then the sirens will immediately be activated. At that time, while that is going on, a news bulletin will be put out through the media and also through the National Weather Service if they have not already been alerted to it.
When you know a tornado has been sighted, you want to go to the interior area of the lowest floor in your house. A closet, bathroom, or hallway provide the best protection. Most of all, know now what you would do before a tornado happens. Steve Anderson, environmental specialist, NewsCenter 4.
A team of FBI agents is en route to Warsaw tonight to help Polish investigators try to identify some of the victims of Saturday's jetliner crash. Meanwhile, in Denver tonight, a mass was held for victims of the tragedy. The service at St. Joseph Polish Church began at 7 o'clock tonight and was attended by many mourners.
And just ahead, the Iran-Contra affair continues to bubble in the nation's capital.
President Reagan and the King of Saudi Arabia apparently did talk about Contras. Details after this. The Iran-Contra hearings today drew an unwilling admission from President Reagan and an angry tirade from former National Security Advisor Robert McFarlane. Now, the president denied yesterday that he had solicited funds from the Contras, from the Saudis, or any other foreign government. The president met with Saudi King Fahd in 1985, and today he acknowledged that he did discuss Contra aid with the Saudi king at a time when Congress had forbidden U.S. aid, but he still denies asking for aid.
My diary shows that I never brought it up, and shows that the king, before he left, told me that he was doing that and that he was going to increase the aid.
At the hearings today, McFarlane was questioned about efforts to ransom hostages, and he angrily denounced U.S. anti-terrorist policies and contrasted it with Israel's.
Terrorists know that whenever they commit terrorism against Israel, something, somehow, somewhere is going to happen. Now, it may not always be arms, it may not be preemptive attack, it may be negotiation, it may be bribing, but you can be goddamn sure if any Israeli's caught, he's going to have his government going after the people who did it.
McFarlane also maintains that he informed the president of every Contra connection that he made that was, quote, close to the line.
Israel's coalition government is at the breaking point. Foreign Minister Perez today called for a new election because Prime Minister Shamir won't agree to a Middle East peace conference. And there's been a coup in the island nation of Fiji. An Army colonel and 10 soldiers have burst into Parliament and kidnapped Fiji's Prime Minister and 27 other officials. All of this comes after an election that installed Fiji's first ethnic Indian government. Now that prompted protest by ethnic Fijians.
Our latest News Center 4 Denver Post poll shows that Mayor Pena is regaining some steam against challenger Don Bain. Bain now shows support from 35% of those polled. That's a 1% drop since yesterday. Pena, meanwhile, has 28%, a 4% gain. The poll has a margin of error, plus or minus 5%, and is conducted by Talmy and Associates. The mayor is also attracting the attention of an apparent crank caller who is waging a smear campaign with recorded phone calls to people in Denver. The message says, in part, Mayor Pena was involved in a plot to murder 100,000 Denverites. The question is, did he know it? Mountain Bell says these calls are apparently dialed at random and hard to trace. A Pena spokeswoman says she's not overly concerned about the calls.
The problems of Denver's homeless and a ballot issue which seeks to deal with it are generating some heat in the Denver mayor's race. The homeless initiative would make Denver the provider of last resort of housing for the homeless. Most of the mayoral candidates are against the measure, but a comment by candidate Don Bain led the mayor today to call him insensitive.
And then you made the statement that if people who are living under bridges and viaducts want to continue to live there, as long as they're not bothering anybody, that's okay with me. And that was your quote.
And we also have, and it's been documented in the press, people who don't want to be put into shelters. And I'm not going to force those people into shelters.
That he simply agrees with the mayor that the initiative is not the right solution.
Upcoming on tonight's late edition, you'll recall that last night we said that famous garbage barge was headed for Islip. Well, belay that.
And Larry Green charts the weather through the weekend, so stay set on 4.
Just when you thought it was safe to go back in the water without running into that garbage barge, there has been a change in plans. Officials who said last night that the barge was going to end its aromatic 7-week odyssey by planting its cargo near Islip, New York, where it all started, now say no, it's going to go somewhere else. But where remains a secret. Will undoubtedly be a very unpleasant surprise to someone somewhere.
Oh, that's a terrible story. Take it over to Larry's house.
No, I don't think that thing will move inland too far.
I don't think so. Tell us about the weather.
Weather in Colorado calmed down a little bit today. Still some active weather around the state. A few showers down in southeastern Colorado. We'll point those out to you in a moment. But let's take a look at the mild weather we have in Denver at this hour. Pretty nice out there, 61 degrees, 81 the high, and the overnight low 51. Humidity's now at 60%. South wind, 10 miles per hour, rising barometer 30.09 inches. And the air quality acceptable, forecast to go good. Told you I'd show you where the showers are. They're down to the west of Colorado Springs and the west of Pueblo. Very little movement associated with these and very little intensity. Nothing to worry about tonight, but I just thought you'd like to see where it's raining. Let's move along now. Take a look at the satellite picture. It shows clouds down in the south central portion of the state. That goes along with those showers that you're seeing right there. High pressure up to the north, low pressure to the south. Indicates that we have what we call a monsoon pattern, actually drawing moisture in from the Mexican border and bringing it up toward Colorado, and it's going to be that way for the next couple of days. There is a cold front moving our way, but moving very slowly, and it looks like high pressure is going to hold that off and keep it moving over the northern plains. Some fairly heavy rain being reported tonight in south central Nebraska. Tomorrow's weather, another cold front moving our way, but plenty more in the way of moisture here in the west and down into the southwest. Scattered showers and thunderstorms throughout this pattern tomorrow. Along that cold front in the east, fairly heavy thunder showers expected in that region, and the rain will continue down in the southeastern part of the country. By the way, down in Miami today, they collected 7 inches of rain, and it looks like they're going to get more in the way of fairly heavy rain tomorrow. Let's look at tomorrow's temperatures. 60s in the northeast, 70s, and then 80s as we get down into the south and all the way up into the northern plains here in the west. Quite hot, expected down in the southwest with 100-degree readings there, and still cool up in the northwestern part of the country. Temperatures around our region today, according to weather watchers, were mostly in the 80s in the metro area, 70s on the west side of town, and 60s and 70s up in the foothills, higher elevations with temperatures in the 40s and 50s today. This is the way it looks statewide: 60s, 70s mountains, 70s western valleys, and here in eastern Colorado, 70s and 80s. The hot spot today was Lamar. They got up to 88 degrees, and Fraser very early this morning dropped down to 26. Looking ahead, tomorrow's weather calls for 72 to 82 in the western valleys. And yes, those thunder showers will be around scattered statewide tomorrow. Mountains calling for 60 to 75. And here in eastern Colorado, looks like a good day. 75 to 85. You want the sunshine? Get out there early. Here's Denver's forecast for you. And tonight, we're calling for clearing and mild, low of about 50 degrees. Tomorrow, afternoon clouds developing once again. Scattered thunderstorms, high of 80, low of 50. And here's your 5-day forecast. We'll take you through with temperatures near 80 for the highs, near 50 for the lows, and afternoon showers or thunderstorms. Some of those could be a little heavier toward the end of the week.
Rubber stamp it. Yeah, then you won't have to say it every day.
Make this a recording, and I'll take the rest of the week off.
Not a bad idea.
That'd be a good idea.
Sports is just around the corner. It happens about as often as a snowstorm in the Sahara, but it happened tonight in Boston.
And how would you like to see quarterbacks Craig Morton and Kenny Stabler facing one another again? That's going to happen in Denver. So stay where you are. We'll be right back.
Ron is here with a sports report, and the Bucks were counted out tonight.
Mm-hmm.
They were dead.
Everybody counted them out but themselves.
And they upset the Celtics in Boston.
Something that does not happen very often. Celtics had won 79 of 80 at home. Yeah. They had won 33 straight. But they were reading the press clippings tonight. The Bucks came back in the fourth quarter, and they upset the Celtics, 129 to 124. They're still alive in the series. Boston up 3-2. Game 6 Friday night at the Mecca in Milwaukee. Now, Houston over the Mets on a Kevin Bass RBI single, and the Cubs lead the Dodgers in the fifth. The Zephyrs won today 14-5 over Omaha. And on Father's Day, the Broncos and Raiders will play an old-timers game at Mile High Stadium.
Okay, Ron. Thank you.
Okay.
We'll be back with some very happy endings to the stories of two Wednesday's children.